This segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs.
Hey everybody, welcome back into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. It's time to check in with Lafourche Parish, and for that we speak to Captain Brennan Mathern, who is joining us by Zoom. And this is a case that involves your children, the internet, and how things can spiral out of control to where your child may end up thousands of miles away. So a pretty interesting case here, right, Brendan?
Yeah, a lot of facets going on with this one, Harry, and a lot of things to touch on. And certainly anyone that has children would be interested in all of the aspects of this story. So it first started with something that we deal with a lot, and that's a runaway teen. And we had a 16-year-old male on April 20th that ran away from home. It was reported as a runaway. He left his electronic devices at home. So that's always interesting because, you know, you would think what teenager would willingly want to leave without electronic devices, but that was the case here. But in any event, the investigation led our juvenile detectives all the way to the state of Oregon. And how we got there was we found that the 16-year-old boy had been talking online with a 16-year-old female from the Oregon area on Snapchat. And after some time, they, I guess, had made plans for the 16-year-old female had made plans with her mother, 41-year-old Roxanne Mokabe, to pick up the 16-year-old from his home in Thibodaux and drive him back to Oregon. Apparently, he did not want to stay. He's an adopted kid. He did not want to stay with his adopted family. And so he made plans with this 16-year-old girl to have this woman, Roxanne Mokabe, the girl's mom, a resident of Oregon, pick him up in Thibodaux and drive him back to Oregon, I guess, to where they plan to stay. Obviously, we were able to track the girl's phone to Oregon, and we actually coordinated with Oregon State Police. They found them riding in a vehicle, conducted a traffic stop. All three of them were there. So one, we made sure that the boy was safe and, you know, reported to his family. And two, then we filed for warrants and were able to get charges on the mother. So Mokabe was arrested and booked into the Harney County Jail on a Lafourche Parish warrant for simple kidnapping and contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile. And she remains there. She's awaiting extradition back to Lafourche Parish, where her bail will be set at $50,000.
Yeah, that's a remarkable story. First, and as you said, can you imagine any parent just going, well, our son has disappeared, right? And there's no trace of you know, electronic stuff. So you don't know if he's out in the middle of a swamp somewhere or on the side of a highway somewhere. So that had to really scare them at first. But then to track all this down, where I guess they drove the 2,000 miles to get here, and we're driving the 2,000 miles back, huh?
Yeah, and look, like I said, Harry, this has a lot of things to catch parents' attention. First of all, a 16-year-old male at home, you know, this is, you know, I know that we're preaching to the choir, but that's why we tell you, you have to be involved in your children's lives. You have to know what they're doing in their room, what they're doing on their phones. In this case, this individual not only had started a long-distance relationship with another teenage girl from Oregon, but effectively made plans. And, you know, as a parent, you're probably thinking, you know, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is, you know, they hear or say some inappropriate stuff, you know, or even worst case, they might, you know, share a photo of themselves that's inappropriate. And while all of those things would be horrible, there are worse things or potentially just as bad, like, you know, an adult from another state coming to pick up another child and bring them back to another state, regardless of the intentions, regardless of what, you know, what was said and at stake, without contacting parents. And really the kicker here, Harry, is there was no attempt to contact law enforcement. If this was a situation that had any negative things going on at home that the boy was trying to get away from, and I know a lot of the Facebook comments have you know, gone in that direction. If there was any of that, there was no attempt at any point by this family that, you know, if that's where we were going to try to contact law enforcement. So Obviously, we'll look into that, or we are looking into that, like as we would with any investigation. We're going to look at all facets of it. But the idea that this was sort of a rescue mission falls short in so many ways. And this person essentially took a 16-year-old boy from Thibodaux all the way to Oregon without permission, without notifying anyone.
Yeah, without even telling anybody, which, again, and look, love is great, but I mean, at 16 years old, you can get together and break up pretty fast. Imagine he's all the way in, Oregon, and they decide, well, we know this is not working. Well, now he's just out there in Oregon, right? So no telling what can happen to that. And runaways get themselves in trouble, in a lot of different ways.
And his age might have been one of the saving graces in this story, because had he been a year older or 2 years older, and now he's an adult, well, now to your point, he could be finding himself homeless in Oregon without a way back home. So in a way, it's a good thing that he's still under the care of legal guardians, because they do have some say over his life, and we are able to get him back to his residence. So again, this is just one of those stories, cautionary tales that you see happen in other jurisdictions, but you don't expect it to happen at home. So yeah, this sort of thing, as crazy as it sounds, can happen, did happen, and thankfully our investigators were on top of it and made an arrest in this case.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hopefully we can work something out, and these kids can all get together with their families and work something out. But very interesting story. So thanks for the update, Brendan. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Trapp Chevrolet. We're always on your side.